Hey there, guys. So, two questions slash topics, whatever you want to call it, that I'm going to go over. One being pull-ups and the way that I do them, and the other being the barbell overhead press and just bringing the bar down to the chin. So, in both cases, it involves shoulders. So, if I was to go into a dead hang with the pull-ups, I find that it impinges my shoulders, and I basically just end up with shoulder pain if I continue to do that for 3 to 4 weeks. Um, it's just something that my body doesn't like, and I could get into a lot more depth about it, but it's probably not going to help you guys much in that regard. But yeah, just going into a deep dead hang just irritates my shoulders, and at the end of the day, the more you can prevent something from becoming irritated, the less damage you're going to do to your body. Also, by doing the pull-ups the way that I'm doing them, I keep a lot of tension on the muscle groups that I'm trying to work, predominantly the lats. And also, when I do my pull-ups, I'm thinking of the cue of trying to tuck my elbows down towards my hips. Um, and then, for the overhead press, which I just did then, mind you, this video that I'm putting together is just these two clips stitched together and back to back on a loop. So with overhead shoulder press, it's the same sort of deal. I bring the bar down to my chin because if I bring it, any lower, there's a fair bit of rotation at the shoulder that needs to happen if I was to try and bring it down to my collarbone. And again, that aggravates my shoulder. I prefer keeping the tension on the muscle groups that I'm trying to work, predominantly, that being the delts and the triceps. Um, so yeah, it's more effective for me to do it, in that manner. You also need to keep in mind, my goal isn't bodybuilding. My goal is powerlifting, and I'm trying to increase my bench press. So when I'm doing the overhead press like this as well, the total range of motion is very similar to that of my bench press. And the grip that I also take for the overhead press when I'm doing this is one hand space in from my traditional bench. So in one way, it hits the shoulders a little bit harder that way because I've brought my grip in, and it lengthens the range of motion a fraction. If I was to take my bench press grip for overhead pressing, the range of motion isn't going to be great, and it'd be quite an awkward angle for me to, be pressing, rep upon rep with. Yeah, and another reason, like with the overhead barbell press, that I bring it down to my chin, is it limits the amount of spinal extension. So, long story short, I don't have to lean, backwards. A lot of people, overhead press and then leaning backwards equals lower back pain. By me just bringing it down to my chin, I eliminate virtually all of, my spinal extension problems under load. I have found, if I go heavy with a barbell overhead press, especially the day after front squats, my overhead press doesn't go great. I just fatigue out too quick because my mid to lower back is just too taxed from the front squats. So a lot of people forget about that. And also, by keeping the range of motion, the way it is, and keeping it similar to, the distance I'm going to move on bench, it's just more functional for me. I also try and retract my scapula while I'm overhead pressing. It's similar in some ways to bench press, the setup. Not 100% perfect at doing it, but hey, it's working for me. And then, the rep ranges. The reason, I'm going so high rep is, in a way, it's sort of like active recovery because you're pumping a whole lot of blood around. But also, 70 kilos for me isn't taxing, like, from a nervous system perspective. Most of the time I just jump straight into it. I don't even warm up. Occasionally I'll do a set of 10 and then I'll, jump in and then, go for my high rep set. Pull-ups, normally I warm up, I do a set of 5 or a set of 10, and that's just sort of to warm up the biceps more than anything, and elbow joints, just so that they feel, slightly pumped, but, comfortable at, knocking out a whole lot of reps. So they're my two, or three biggest things when it comes to performing the exercises the way that I do. Break times, 5 to 7 minutes in between sets. Pull ups, it depends, most of the time I try and get 100 total pull-ups done. So yeah, if I get 30 done in a set and then give myself a good 7 minutes and do another 30, I'm already at 60. So sometimes then I just drop it back to 4 sets of 10, just have, a minute and a half or 2 minute breaks and knock them all out. And similar sort of deal with the overhead press as well. So I'm just building up that volume, growing the shoulders with the overhead press. Because a lot of people, when it comes to heavy bench, it's their shoulders that give out. So, yeah, that's just my take on things. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. Otherwise, have a great day wherever you are.